In our previous discussions, we looked at the chemical classes, structure, and function of different types of hormones. Here, we want to take a look at how hormone release is controlled in the first place. Synthesis and release of most hormones is controlled by a negative feedback mechanism, whereby some kind of stimulus triggers the release of a hormone. That hormone causes a target organ or organs to respond in an opposite way to that stimulus. The reduction of the stimulus then reduces the levels of those hormones that are being released. The three types of stimuli that trigger endocrine glands to produce and release hormones include humoral stimuli, neural stimuli, and hormonal stimuli. Humoral stimulus comes from an old term for body fluids. Here, glands are responding directly to the concentration of certain chemicals in the bodily fluids. These chemicals may be ions or nutrients of some kind. For example, the parathyroid gland monitors calcium levels in the bloodstream. If ion levels drop, the gland releases parathyroid hormone to try to increase calcium levels. Another example is the pancreas. The pancreas monitors blood glucose levels, a type of nutrient. If glucose levels increase, the pancreas releases insulin to cause a decrease in circulating blood glucose levels. The second kind of stimulus we find for the endocrine system are the neural stimuli. Here, nerve fibers can stimulate hormone release. A great example of this is that the sympathetic nervous fibers stimulate the adrenal medulla to release norepinephrine and epinephrine, or adrenaline. Probably the more common kind of stimulus we're going to study, though, is the hormonal type of stimulus. Here, endocrine glands release hormones in response to hormones that were produced by other endocrine glands. Here we'll take a good example of that. The hypothalamus is both nervous and glandular tissue. It is part of the central nervous system, but it also produces a series of hormones like thyroid stimulating releasing hormone, TSRH. When the hypothalamus releases TSRH, it goes to the anterior pituitary and tells this second gland to start releasing a second hormone called thyroid stimulating hormone. That means the release of thyroid stimulating hormone was being controlled by another hormone, being some kind of hormonal stimulus. Thyroid stimulating hormone then travels to the thyroid, which it stimulates to produce thyroid hormone. Thyroid hormone then goes out to the body to increase metabolism all over the body. Here we see a cascade of one hormone causing the release of another, which causes the release of yet another. So hormonal stimuli are very common stimuli for the release of hormones by the endocrine system. The nervous system can modulate the endocrine system activity by serving as a stimulus for the release of a hormone. We mentioned neural stimuli earlier, but also helping in controlling feedback mechanisms to adjust endocrine activity. For example, the activity of sympathetic nervous system can allow for blood glucose levels to rise above the levels that are usually controlled by the insulin-glucagon mechanism, allowing for an adjustment of blood sugar levels outside of what would be considered normal if it was only being controlled by the endocrine system.